Mute it.
Guys, mute yourself.
Personal chat.
Right. So today's class we are going to discuss about joint stock company. Okay, and then after joint stock company, types of companies, formation of company, under the formation of company, stages of formation of company, and important documents to be filed with the registrar at the time of incorporation of a company. These are the topics we are going to discuss. I'm sharing screen here. I'm waiting. We are here to make me host. Anyway, so joint stock company. What is a joint stock company? It's a large-scale organization which raises its capital from the public in the form of shares. And the management is in the hands of board of directors who are the elected members of the shareholders, right? This company gets registration and it is must. As per the law, it is required to get a registration by the joint stock companies. And this company
Muted everyone.
legal existence with the in the eyes of the law. So as they have the legal existence, that it is separate from members, and it is called as an artificial person. Okay, so
Yes.
registration of a company involves so many legal.
Your voice is not clear.
Check your mobile.
Your camera is off, I think.
No, no. On.
Then it's not showing for me.
Check once again.
Okay.
So joint stock companies, the registration involves so many legal formalities. So before we get into the formation of a joint stock company, we will discuss about the types of joint stock companies. Okay, joint stock companies have different types. So I'm sharing screen here. The joint stock company. They are not allowing. That made me host. I can't share the screen until they make me host. Anyway, till that time, I'll based on all of you, please.
Muted everyone.
We have different types of joint stock companies. Okay, joint stock companies based on a incorporation. Based on incorporation, you have three types of companies: chartered companies, statutory companies, and registered companies. Statutory companies means what? Companies which are formed with a special legal act or special legislative act. Okay, these next we have based on charter, based on incorporation. The other one is, if you look at these statutory companies means which is special act of legislature or parliament. Companies which form we call as a statutory companies, like LIC, SBI, RBI. Then Food Corporation of India. These all comes under the statutory companies. They form with a special act of a parliament. Next we have chartered companies. Chartered companies means companies which are formed based on a special companies which are formed by special act of king. Okay, companies which are formed by special act of king, we call them as a chartered companies. Generally, East India Company, if you see, it is formed by special act of the East Indian Company, the kingdom size. that those days before the Indian Companies Act 1956, whatever companies formed under the act of king, we call them as the chartered companies. Then we have registered companies. It's very common. Registered companies means companies which are under got registered as per the Companies Act. Companies which got registered as per the Companies Act, call them as the registered companies. Again, these registered companies, we have public limited company, private limited company, and one-man company. Okay.
Okay.
At this point, one-man company. So this public limited company are those companies which have.
Ma'am, we can't see your lesson, ma'am.
Yeah, but because I'm not able to share, I haven't been made as a host. So they disabled. They didn't make me as a host. I'm trying to contact them.
Ma'am, some important questions want.
So, so we have different companies like registered companies. Again, we have registered companies limited by public limited companies, private limited companies, and again you have registered companies registered based on the liability, limited liability, like unlimited liability companies. Okay. So next we have on the basis of liability. Now, if you look into the companies based on classification based on liability, as I said, based on classification liability, again we have limited liability companies and unlimited liability companies. Under limited liability companies, again we have limited by shares, means the members' liability in these companies is limited. And what extent it is limited? It is limited to the extent of what you call shares, or to the extent of, it is limited to the extent of shares or to the extent of guarantee given by them. Okay, so these companies get registered companies which are registered under these are limited by guarantee or limited by shares. Limited by shares means in these companies, the liability of members is limited to the extent of the shares held by them. Like they either whatever the amount, the face value of the shares is there, that into number of shares held by them. Their liability is limited to the extent of the shares held by them, like Tata Company, Reliance, Infosys, all these companies. Excuse me, sir, please make me host. Na? I'm English medium, Commerce-10. Commerce-10, sir, first semester. Business organization, Commerce-10. Yes. English medium.
What happened? Something is wrong.
Yeah. So here the shares, whatever the number of shares held by them, to the extent of the face value of the shares, they will get liable. Yes, they need, I can share now. Right? Look at here, the classification. Okay. So private company, public company, based on number of members. Again, disabled. Yes, who is this? I explained this. Limited by guarantee means the amount of gave guarantee to the extent of the amount guaranteed, the liability will be limited. Generally, non-profit organizations, charitable organizations, members' liability is limited by guarantee. Next, based on the number of members, we have three types of companies: private company, public company, one-person company. Private company means what? So private company generally formed by law. Actually, as per the registration will be there, but at the end, minimum 2 members will be there. Maximum 50 members, 50 to 200 members. Private company. Okay, so these private companies generally should add the term private limited at the end of their name. If you see whatever the companies are under private companies, those add the term private limited. Okay. So generally, these private companies does not issue shares to the public. They raise among the members themselves only, and they will not, as they don't issue the shares to public and raise their capital among themselves, they will not issue any prospectus to the public. Next one is public company. Public company means what? A company which is not private and which has a minimum of 7 members and maximum is unlimited. They raise their capital from the public. Okay, they raise their capital from the public. As they are raising capital from the public, they issue prospectus, and they have no transfer of shares, and they'll start the business only after they raise the capital. One-person company. This one is a new company after added in the 2013 Companies Act. One-person company means only one person will be the owner of the business. Like it's, but again, it is not a sole trader. Remember, children, it is a company registered under the Companies Act. One man, he himself is the shareholder, he himself is the director, and he runs his business in a company status. Instead of a small shop, he runs his business in a company status. Okay, that is one person business. Generally, he himself owns the shares of the company, and only one person continues, and he gets the legal existence. He himself is the director also. Okay, the next. On the basis of control. Again, companies on the basis of control, we have that is a holding company and subsidiary company. Holding company means what? A company which has more than 51% of contribution in another company and has the rights for controlling the objectives of the company. That company is said to be a holding company. Okay, and a company it controls directors, it controls that operation of that company which is under its control. Generally, like Alphabet companies, Sony Corporation, Johnson and Johnson. If you take, those all are holding companies. Okay, next one is subsidiary companies. Subsidiary companies are those companies which are under the control of holding company and do their business
ఇక్కడ నువ్వు
under the control of holding company.
Guys, audio mute.
If see under if Alphabet is a holding company, under Alphabet they are having a like a Amazon, sorry, Alphabet is a holding company. Similarly, what you call you have Sony company is a holding company. Under Sony you have different types of Sony corporation. Sony companies, Sony corporation is holding. Under Sony you have what you call the Sony Electronics, Sony Television, Sony mobiles, like that you have the different. Those are considered
Okay.
subsidiary companies. They work under the control of holding companies. Next, companies classified based on the ownership. On the basis of ownership, we have government companies and foreign companies. Government company means a company in which government invest and has a more than 51% of shares, that we call as a government company. We have so many government companies to us, this thing like BHEL, ECIL, HAL, okay, and NTPC. All these comes under the government companies, because in these companies government stake, that means investment is more than 50% than the outsiders or the public. The next we have a private or foreign company. Foreign company means a company which is incorporated outside the India and which has established in the place of business in India. Established place of business is India, means either it is Indian company but established outside the India. Okay, company is incorporated outside the India but do their business in India. That companies we call as a foreign company. Okay, we have so many but there are certain rules applicable for these foreign companies. Within 30 days of the establishment of their business in India, they are supposed to file about their location with the memorandum articles and the location of the company, directors, secretaries, all these details are supposed to file with our Indian company registrar in the state and the jurisdiction under which they come. Okay, we have so many examples, foreign companies which are established outside India. Now coming to the private limited company versus public limited company. If you look into the difference between the based on the number of members, based on number of members, private limited company minimum 2, maximum 7. Public limited company, I'm sorry. Private limited company minimum means a private limited company can start its business minimum 2 members. If minimum 2 of members are there, then only it can start. But in case of public limited company, minimum 7 members are supposed to be there. Okay, the maximum in case of private 200. This is the old as per the 2013 Companies Act. 2013 Companies Act, 200 is the maximum number of members in private company. Old books it has been given as 50. Please correct and remember that. And in case of public limited company, maximum number of members are unlimited. Okay, coming to the directors. Minimum directors to start a private company, 2. In the public limited company must be minimum of 3 directors must be there. Coming to the capital, when we call it is a private company, a company which has minimum of 1 lakh capital and not maximum of 5 lakhs capital, we call it as a private company. And a company which has more than 5 lakhs capital, 5 lakhs and above, that we call as a public limited company. Quorum and agent. Yes, quorum means minimum number of directors to attend the meeting. Okay, so in case of private 2, in case of public 5. Next, do private companies invite the public, like means issue the prospectus? No, they don't issue prospectus. They don't invite public to raise their capital. Then what about the public company? Yes, public company invite the public to raise their capital because they raise from the public, and so they issue the prospectus also to the public. Okay. The next one is certificate of incorporation. See, certificate of incorporation. About this we discuss in our forthcoming topic. Certificate of incorporation is a must for both the companies, but certificate of commencement of business is required for public limited company, but not required for private limited company. Yes, for private companies, the name ends with a private limited, and for public limited companies, the name ends with the term just limited. Private will not be there. Yes, for public limited companies, statutory meeting means meeting as per after starting commencement of the business. Compulsory meeting has to be conducted by the public limited companies, which is called a statutory meeting. But in case of private limited company, no such meeting is required. Annual remuneration, in case of private companies, it should not exceed more than 11% of the profits, and in public limited companies, such restrictions are not there. So we'll move on to the other topic, that is yes, the difference between partnership and company also there. This you can refer back. After this, formation of a company. Formation of a company is that once the joint stock company is formed, once joint stock company is formed, uh,
Ma'am, can you say the please stop chatting with all students?
I'll disable.
Hello,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
When can you say the stop chatting with all members?
Second here, I'll disable them to chat also. Under the joint stock company, we also learn about the formation of a joint stock company. This involves what is formation of a joint stock company? Formation of a joint stock company. Under this, you learn about what is formation of a company, what are the stages in formation of a company, and under formation, one of the stage is promotion. So, what stages of promotion involves, and who is a promoter? So, formation means what? See, existence. Company has to be brought into existence, a legal existence. Being an artificial person, it has to be brought into existence with all legal formalities, right? Once it gets into existence with all legal formalities, we call it as an artificial person, right? So these all in order to bring the company into existence, it involves so many legal activities, and a person who wants to bring a company into existence has to follow so many provisions of a Companies Act as per the 1956, as per 2013 latest act, both. So formation of a company is governed by the various provisions of a Companies Act. So they are supposed to get registered, and for that registration also they involve various legal formalities. So what are the stages how a company is brought into existence? Okay, that generally the company's formation involves 4 stages: promotion, incorporation, raising of capital, commencement of business. Okay, promotion, incorporation, raising of capital, and commencement of business. So if you look into this formation, Means, to start, say for example, you have an idea, you want to go for, instead of doing a small business or a partnership, you want to say, now we are finding so many companies coming into joint stock company level startups. If you see, Byju's started as a startup. Okay, so whatever small companies started as a startups has now has become a joint stock company level. So to become a joint stock company level, what do you have? First of all, you should get an idea. So you should bring that into existence. Should give some shape. Okay. This generally formation of a company. One second, dear. Company generally it was four stages: motion, incorporation, raising of capital, commencement of business. Generally, for private companies, only two stages: incorporation and promotion and incorporation. After incorporation, they can start their business and enter into any contracts. But for public company, they involve two more stages, that is raising of capital and commencement of business. Right? So generally, we have discussed about what is a private company and a public company, and this formation of company is involved in the hands of, is undertaken by some people who are called promoters. Generally, promoters are the people who involved in bringing a company into existence, means who undertake all the legal formalities that are required to bring a company into its existence. Okay, so these promoters, as per the Companies Act, if you see, the promoter means who has control over the affairs of the company, directly or indirectly, whether as a shareholder, director, or otherwise. Means who involves in a formation of a company and who undertakes all the responsibilities to get the company into legal existence and getting it the incorporation certificate or commencement of business certificate. Such person is called as a promoter of a company. And this because see, I have an idea to start the business, but I may not take good experience in following all the legal formalities and the provisions. I don't know what are the provisions to be followed. So I'll take up. He can be a hired person, or he can be a professional, or if you have an idea and you are starting a business and you have everything what is to do, that the person himself can also be a promoter. First, generally, he is name will also be given in the formation of a company in the documents, and he has the control over the affairs of the company, the role. Okay, and he also undertakes all the activities. He is an advice. He works under the advice, directions, and instructions. Okay. Now coming to the promotion. Promotion again involves stages. What are those stages? First stage was discovery of an idea. You see, to start the business, first you need to get an idea. What is that? Which business can do? What are the opportunities that are there in the market to do the business? How, which business I can make the profits, right? So first you need to identify a particular type of business and which can be commercially feasible, means gives profits. So now online is going on. Can I start my online classes, online teaching, or I give online notes and material to the students? Like that, I'll get some ideas. So with those ideas, what I do first, I'll do the study on my own. I'll do the study on my own. Do I start online classes or do I provide online material? I do. Two alternatives are there for me. In these two alternatives, I mark good or bad, which has a pros and which has cons. And after evaluation, I'll decide the option or the alternative which has more pros than the cons, means advantages than the disadvantages. Then, so with that, my ideology, which based on my knowledge, which I selected, that I'm going to that idea I select. But I'm only a person who is with the basic knowledge selected. But there are various market experts are there. So next step, detailed investigation. That means whatever the business opportunity that I selected, I'll go for a experts advice. I'll send my business idea to the experts advice in various aspects like a detailed investigation from the experts in the market research aspect, the financial financing aspect, and the market feasibility aspect. Okay, availability of raw material. All these things are to be considered. My knowledge is limited, but I'll go in with the experts' advice with this idea, whichever I selected out of the various alternatives. If experts accepted the idea, then I proceed to the next step. Otherwise, again I'll come back. Again, I have to select a new idea. I have to choose the best one. Again, I will go for the experts' advice, so that it continues till the idea that is accepted or suggested by the experts, which has market feasibility. Then once acceptance from the experts we receive, then the promoter will involve in assembling the factors of production. Assembling the factors of production. That means whatever things are required to start the business. Yes, my idea of doing online classes is good. Then I need to procure the material. First, raw material. What is my raw material? Collecting a laptop and all the camera, laptop, speaker, okay, filters, and then some PPT presentation tools. All this I'm supposed to collect. Like that for a company. So factors of production, material. After material, labor. Labor means while I'm teaching on the board, some assistance I may need to take video of my lessons or whatever. So like that, labor I need. Then finance. To get these material and to hire the labor, I need some funds. So I need to do what is the amount of finance required and all. Raise the finance and capital. Okay, so all these he will procure. The promoter procure or assemble the factors of production that are required to start the business. At this time itself, this promoter also enters into the contract with the suppliers of the materials. Then the next one is financing proposition. Here in this says one of the factors of production, capital I said. So here at this stage, now the promoter think about what is the financial requirement to start my business, what amount of capital I need, initial investment I need, and how should I raise, what are my sources, do I can raise entirely my own, or should I go for a debt, or should I borrow from outsiders, what are my liabilities, financial sources, how do I raise. That is my that's my concern. So as a promoter, I look into the feasibility and available sources and the methods of raising the capital. The next one is yeah. Right. Okay. So once he complete this all, promoter, Once he get into the promotion stage, the next step is what? He got an idea, he went for the advice, he selected based on that, he procured or assembled all the factors of means all the materials required for the business, right? Then finance requirements also he made arrangements, means he came to a conclusion. Now the next step in the formation of a company is incorporation of a company. That means incorporation is nothing but registration. So depending on the objects of the company, like a scale of operations, amount of capital, and promoters decide whether to public company or private company. So before going to the incorporation, the promoter will decide whether their company is going to be a public company or a private company. Okay, because if it is a private company, with the incorporation we can stop. If it is a public company, again there needs two more steps. Okay, so after promotion of a company, promoters file an application to the register of companies in the state where their registered office has been located. Okay, generally this accompanied by certain documents. It is accompanied by certain documents. So registration, incorporation, or a registration are one and the same. Okay, when register is so what are those documents? We'll get into that in detail. So once those documents are submitted to the registrar will go through all these documents, and if he satisfies, he enters the name of the company in a register called certificate of incorporation. Okay, so generally the next step. So once you promoter decides, yes, this is my company, this is my business going to be, and this is the capital I need, this is how I want to raise. Once he decides everything, then what he best do before he do all the start his business. The second step is after decision, what to do, how to procure, what needed, where to locate, he need to go for a registration, that is incorporation. So second step is incorporation. So at this stage he thinks whether he wants to continue, he wants to run his business as a private company or as a public company. Based on that, again, procedure depends. So what is incorporation? See, whether it is a public company or a private company, getting registration is compulsory. That means incorporation is compulsory. So in order to get incorporated, a company need to be oh, I get it. Okay. This is in the formation stage, na? Incorporation. Once they are supposed to submit all the documents like memorandum of association, articles, list of directors, all these details are to be submitted with, at the time of incorporation. Then the registrar will verify these details, and if he is satisfied with the information provided, what he will do? He enters the company's name in the book called certificate of, in the book company's register, and issues a certificate called certificate of incorporation. After, with this certificate of incorporation, a company gets its legal existence separate from its members and treated as an artificial person. This is must for every company. After this incorporation, private company starts its business immediately. Public limited company go for other thing. So the next one is the third stage in the formation of a company. That is raising of capital. As I said, public limited companies raise its capital from the public, from outsiders, public who are interested in saving, investing their savings in the companies. Private limited companies raise their capital among themselves. So public limited companies, when raising their capital from the public, are need to issue a prospectus, means they are inviting the public to subscribe their shares. So they issue a prospectus inviting the public to buy the company shares. Generally, a company, while issuing a prospectus, it need to give all the details, and it is to register this prospectus also with the registrar. And from the date of issue of registration, issue of prospectus to the public, company must able to raise its capital. Okay. I'll repeat once again. So prospectus, so public limited company raise the capital from the public. So issue the prospectus inviting public to raise their, to buy their shares. Okay. Okay, so company invitation to the public buy shares. So once company issue the prospectus to the public, from 90 days of that date, it need to raise its minimum subscription. Once it raises the minimum subscription, it go for a next step of obtaining the commencement of business. If it is not able to raise its minimum subscription, then company need to be wind up before commencement of business. So company start its business to avoid that winding up of the business before commencement only. Generally, these companies will enter into an agreement with the underwriters. Who are the underwriters? Underwriters are the institutions or individuals who give guarantee to the company to buy the company shares or debentures if it fails to raise their capital. Okay, so once the company's raising of capital procedure is over, the final step in the formation of a company is commencement of business certificate. So public private companies generally yes. Private company will start its business after incorporation, but public companies has to wait for getting a commencement of business certificate. And to get this commencement of business certificate, they need to submit certain documents like a declaration about the minimum subscription is collected and declaration about that minimum subscription collected and the directors whatever the directors agreed to buy the company shares, those shares are purchased by the directors, and the declaration that all the formalities required for a commencement of business have been followed. All these and last declaration, that is no amount is due to the applicants. All these documents showing these all declarations, they're supposed to submit these all documents to the registrar again. Then the registrar will verify these documents. If satisfies, enters the company name in the company's register, public limited companies register, and issue a certificate called commencement of business certificate. With this, a company, public limited company gets into existence. Means it starts with business activities and can do its business successfully. Yes. Now, one by one, you can unmute your mic. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
No doubt, ma'am.
No doubt.
Madam, can you say last time classes on?
Actually, I am sharing on the day itself or the second day at least. I am sharing on the day itself or on the second day itself.
Ma'am, I want some important questions, ma'am. Last time I say.
Hello. Ma'am, can you share the first and second class PPT, please, once again?
It is difficult, ma, because I have to again get into my.
Excuse me,
I
ma'am.
need to get into my drive, find the videos, PPTs, and I have to submit you. That's
Excuse
why.
me, ma'am.
Problem, ma'am. Can you share? Can you once again share meaning of a formation of?
Yeah,
Excuse me, ma'am.
formation of a company involves 4 stages. Okay, for private company only 2 stages. Public limited company involves 4 stages. What is formation? Bringing company into its legal existence and
లేదు అందుకే అడిగిన.
Excuse me, ma'am. Please.
Ah,
Some important questions wants, ma'am.
in the class, whatever I'm dealing with, those all are important.
ఇప్పుడు ఏమైందని
Questions,
Ma'am.
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 All those are important questions only because see,
Ma'am.
All units learn, ma'am.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
yes,
Ma'am, I didn't find this unit in my textbook, ma'am. Formation of company.
Unit 3, Unit 3.
yes.
Ma'am, PPT share చేయాలా చాట్ లో?
Material also.
₹2 ₹3 ఉంటాయి.
మేడం ఈ PPT షేర్ చేయాలా చాట్ లో?
Right. In second, I'm sharing.
Do giving the important, ma'am.
Ma'am,
I'm sharing. Just a moment.
ఓకే మేడం.
ma'am, I didn't found this chapter in my textbook, ma'am.
No one say important. Let's tell it.
యూనిట్ నెంబర్ 7, యూనిట్ 3 కదా?
Unit number 7 is joint stock company.
Next class, we are going to discuss about important documents to be filed at the time of incorporation of the company and prospectus. Okay. In tomorrow's class, we are
Which unit very important, ma'am?
in classroom, whatever I'm teaching, all those are important.
Okay.
Sum up, again, all of you, please maintain silence. I'll just sum up today's class. So joint stock companies, we have classification like based on number of members, based on incorporation, based on number of members, incorporation, based on liability, and based on the position. Okay. The next, we also discussed about formation of a company. Bringing a company into existence is important, involves so many legal formalities. So a person who undertakes all legal formalities and who is authorized to bring the company into existence with following the provisions of Joint Stock Companies Act is called as a promoter, and this promoter undertakes all these legal formalities. The next, so formation generally involves 4 stages: promotion of a company, incorporation of a company, promotion of a company, incorporation of a company, raising of capital, and commencement of business certificate. Promotion of a company means means in order to start the business, one should have the knowledge and information about the company, how to bring the company, and in so many provisions, recognition. So first you should have the idea what business to. So promotion of a company involves generating an idea, business idea, what business to start and all. Then this promoter with his knowledge and experience will analyze the feasibility of the business. Then whatever alternatives among that, he select the best alternative. With that best alternative, he approaches his experts. Once experts also accept the idea, then he will go for assembling of the materials, like all the factors of production, like raw material, labor, capital, all this. Okay, machinery. Now, once assembling of factors of production is over, then he think about what finance, what is the finance, how much amount of finance to raise, what are the sources available, what are the methods he can go for. All these steps he will take. So once he comes to a clarity about the formation of promotion of the company, how it has to be run, the physical, how to give its physical appearance, existence, then the next he will get into the incorporation stage. Means he needs to get whatever the idea he wants to start the business, nature of business he came to know. Now he need to get a register with the Companies Act. So if, at this stage, he decides whether he want to run as a private company or a public limited company, and then go for the registration of a company, for which he needs to file a certain important documents like memorandum of association, articles of association, then list of directors, like that important documents to be prepared and submitted to the register. Once those are submitted to the registrar, he will then he will issue a certificate called certificate of incorporation. Once this certificate of incorporation is received, a private limited company can start their business, but the public limited company cannot start its business. It has to go for 2 more steps. So the third step in the formation of a company is raising of capital. Raising of capital means private companies raise their capital from the public, from members themselves. It will not go for the public, but public limited company raises capital from the outsiders, public. Okay, for which it needs to issue a certificate or issue prospectus, a document called prospectus, and this prospectus is generally issued to the public, through which it invites the public to subscribe the shares of a company. So once generally a company, this prospectus also to be registered with the registrar, and within the once a prospectus is issued to the public, within 90 days to 120 days, they are supposed to raise their capital. If not raised, a company need to be wound up. In order to avoid such situation, because formation involves so much of expenditure, expensive. So to avoid such situation, companies go for underwriters. These are the people who give guarantee of registering a company, means registering a company shares if a company fails to raise their capital from the public, minimum amount of capital from the public. Okay, so these the underwriters generally are the people who give guarantee of buying the shares of a company in case of minimum subscription is not raised. They collect a commission. Generally, insurance companies, financial institutions acts as a underwriters. Next, fourth stage is raising of capital. Sorry, commencement of business certificate. Yes, a public limited company once raised its capital, go for commencement of business certificate. So for which it need to submit certain documents. Declaration that minimum subscription is minimum subscription is received. Declaration that all the directors have paid and purchased the shares of the company. Declaration that no shareholder applicant money is due with the company in case of any return of allotment, return of subscriptions. Last, declaration that all the formalities of Companies Act have been followed. So once all these 4 documents are ready, they will submit with the registrar, or which they need to pay the registration fee. Then registrar will verify the document, and if he satisfies with these documents, he will issue a certificate called certificate of commencement of business, and enters the company's name in register of public limited companies. With this certificate, a public company can start its business and enter into the contracts. So these are the 4 stages of formation of a company. Under this, we are going to learn in detail again about incorporation of a company. And under the incorporation of company, important documents, whatever come across, plus prospectus. This we learn about these in our next class. Thank you, children.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow's class. The same time?
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
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 Group link.